In my estimation, life is all about perspective and positioning. Now, of course, our perspective is the way in which we interpret the world, and our positioning is where we are positioned, which enables us to perceive the world from a certain vantage. Now, depending on our state of consciousness, our state of awareness pertains to the level and depth and clarity of our perception. And when we become wiser, more experienced, our perception becomes greater and more refined. And so when I was much younger, teenager I suppose, working with my old man, whenever he had problems to solve, he would say that what he does is he looks at the hand he's given, and he could be presented with X, Y and Z. The government could be saying, you owe us tax, you owe us VAT, this, that and the other. But he always used to say, well, okay, so that's one perspective, so let's at least have another one, and turn it over, invert it, revert it, reverse it, look at the polar opposite and see what the perspective and vantage is from that point of view. And so I learned to do that in my life, always looking at things from as many angles as I possibly can. Now, when I was young and full of testosterone and had an inclination to conquer the world and to do all these wonderful things as young males used to be, some of us inclined to do, these days I listen to quite a lot of people online talking about the same sort of thing. The general apathy, the lethargy, the disinterestedness, the narrow-minded, the victim mentality. There's a whole array of negative human attributes which are not enabling people to make anything of themselves. They are so beaten down, they feel so stifled, everything's a big deal, and they've got to do this and they've got to do that, and they can't do this and they can't do that. And even if they felt mentally that they could do these things, then most people wouldn't have the energy because they're not looking after their bodies. And so what I know is from my videos are getting less and less views, less and less comments. And the reason why that is because mostly I'm speaking about my emancipation, my freedom, my joy, my super enlightenment, my cosmic consciousness, how I'm enjoying life every single day, how I'm ecstatic, how every single second of the day is to my disposal. Who wants to hear that? I'm in the wrong realm, aren't I? For my videos, I should be on spiritual channels, because if I was speaking to spiritually inclined people who meditate, who do look after their diet, who do exercise, who do read many of the spiritual scriptures and literature, and who do think in a cosmic God-conscious way, or at least they're endeavouring to do so, all these things where I am now, then I would be getting a great reception, and people would be saying to me, oh yes, I love that, and I do this, and that's helped me, and here, you read this, and I've just read that, and I've discovered this, and I had this incredible entheogenic experience, and la-di-da-di-da. So we'd have a tight community of people who are invested in the same thing. But here on this channel, I don't know what you're here for. Lots of you've been watching for years, and I don't see your faces very much these days, one or two of you. Most of you are new, and I just wonder what your lives are like. Some people I know what their lives are like. like you're not doing anything and you think life's a living hell. And then some of you appear to be, you know, pretty successful and you're working towards your own emancipation and this, that and the other. But I don't know as if I recall anyone that has said that yeah, I'm where you are, Awake and Brave. I'm pretty close, or you know, I'm feeling, you know, wonderful, ecstatic, and all these things. Because even if you are pretty long in the tooth and you're wise, then maybe you don't have the health. Maybe you haven't had the spiritual experiences, and maybe you're not brave enough or of a mind to engage in entheogens and things like this. And so I'm not speaking to anybody who really has much of a relationship with my life, am I? And that's the thing. But what I do know is everybody appears to be looking for help, and everybody wants raising up. And you know, Jordan Peterson came to his stardom, you know, meteorically overnight, when he was telling people to tidy up their sock drawer and just make their bed just once a week. Just make your bed once a week, and if you can do it once, then just go for that second time, and if you can't manage the second time, then just half make it. And he says it was pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But many of the people that he was dealing with in his consultancy as a psychologist were suffering from such apathy, from such a low vibration, whereby they didn't think life was worth living at all. And what a hideous scenario to be in. What a hideous, depleting realm to be in for a therapist if you're listening to these you know, husks every day. I don't know how people get there. I really don't know how they get there. It's a phenomenon as far as I can tell. Bad parenting, bad genes, bad spirits, whatever it is, it's bad. And you know, I'm an advocate that trauma is very, very beneficial, and any therapist worth their salt or psychologist will tell you the same. We need trauma. And I was listening to a video last night with Bernardo Kastrup, and he's saying when he analyses the cosmos, for these trillions of years, however long, you know, Earth and entities have been in existence, it seems that the cosmos favours trauma. It's the yin and yang. All animals rip all animals to pieces, and you would think that if something was really super intelligent, then it would have worked out how not to do that. Unless, of course, that is the height of intelligence. Unless it just couldn't be any other way. You see, if you're going to have all these different varieties of flora and fauna, well, they can't all live perfect lives and live forever, can they? Because then you just need ever-increasing expansive realms for them to dwell within. And there'd be no real diversity, because everything would be flourishing, and it would be like, you know, the description of heaven, where there is no negative energy at all. Well, who would learn from that? Who would benefit from that? Everything would just be in a state of ecstasy, but they wouldn't know any difference, so the ecstasy wouldn't count for anything, would it? And that's what I'm always saying. You know, love doesn't count for anything unless there's hate, and jealousy doesn't count for anything unless you've got people that are really passive and kind and wish the best for you. And so we need these opposites, don't we? The opposites make it work, people. And so therefore, when we realise that, we have to embrace the dark side. We have to embrace the trauma. We have to embrace the suffering. We have to embrace the pain. So those of you which feel as if you are suffering, if you are fighting against it, if you are considering yourself a victim, if you're trying to avoid it by just blocking it out and not facing it, then you're doing yourself a very, very grave disservice. Because What you've been presented with was an opportunity to grow. And anytime we have anything which happens to us which we may consider negative, well, we need to offset it with positivity. So what we do, we embrace it, and we're supposed to love it. We accept it, and we work with it, and we thank it, and we say thank you for giving me this and giving me that, because I now have grown from that, and I feel a more evolved being. And so anytime there was trauma in my life, I just sat with it. I just laid with it. I lived with it for years. Like my dark night of the soul, for 7 years, I just lived with it. I just fell into it, and I embraced it, and I went with it. Trusting the cosmos, trusting something which I knew to be vastly over and above the ego, which was feeling the pain and the suffering. I knew that via my pain and suffering, I was going to come out the other side like the proverbial caterpillar and butterfly. And so my dark night of the soul was the chrysalis period in my life. From that low conscious being, which was for about 45 years of my life. Then I had this 7 years of the deepest dark night of the soul, and then another 7 years slowly coming out of it and learning. And now, in this last year, 2 years maximum, I'm proclaiming my enlightenment. Because there's no doubt about it, people. I've been through it all. And if you ever care to listen to any gurus who would dare to tell their story, most of them don't. They want to just keep a pretense. Like Sadhguru, he'll never tell you anything about his history. Completely don't want to go there. He just wants to live and bask in the pretense of his enlightenment, which is only ever inferred, of course, because he couldn't say it, because people can't stand it when you're self-aggrandizing. And so I asked you guys the other day, what do you think of me? What do you think of my journey? What do you think of my position? And only one person responded. And that person said that I'm a wise old, I don't know, fossil, something like this, who's lived a great life and enjoying himself. But I wouldn't think anybody would ever be able to say, yes, I consider you to be enlightened, because nobody knows what enlightenment is. And we've all been conditioned into thinking that we must never say that we're enlightened. That's something that you would never do. You can say you're a good plumber, you can say you're a good mathematician, you can say you're a good therapist, but you can never say you're good at life. And you're good at being a spiritual entity. No, because the Muppets hate that sort of shit, because they're all filled with jealousy and envy and all that sort of thing. But so anyway, I've just been to the doctors, and I've had a blood test. I went to the doctor and I said, look, my time of life, I want one of these MOT things that you do. You test for all different sorts of things which could be potentially hazardous to the human being at my age. And so doctor went, yeah, fine, great. So I'm having testosterone, I'm having all the other things. There's about 10 things I'm having. And this was completely free. I mean, speech therapy, completely free. I go to the dentist, and anything other than cosmetic is completely free. I've had a hip replacement, completely free. The National Health in Great Britain, albeit many people would still decry it and have plenty to say about it, it's still the best in the world, people. And I can't grumble, because I get free eyes testing, I get free glasses, free everything basically, and free money from the government. And so every single thing that I get and I participate in is all free. I'm going to the gym now, and albeit I'm paying for it on a direct debit, well, I'm not paying, I'm not earning the money, so the government's paying. The government's paying for me to go to the gym. The government's paying for me to sit in the churchyard and read books. The government buys my books. The government pays for absolutely everything. So It's about position and perspective, people. And so you can read or you can listen to videos talking about, all the immigrants coming in and all the tax and the governments and Starmer and, all these different, hello, and all these different sorts of terrible things that would happening. But as far as I'm concerned, they're all out there. They all pertain to other people's perspective and position in life. Because I live in, a beautiful little English village, and I don't see any of those. I don't see any of those swarthy skinned ones with the burqas on. I don't see none of that. I don't see any of these miscreants coming from these other places, like they're coming over in the boats. I don't see any of that. I'm just walking around listening to the birds in my beautiful little England, and my bank account is full, and my belly's full, and my fridge is full, and my bookshelves are full, and my mind and my heart are highly content. And so what do I have to be disgruntled about? As far as I'm concerned, I live in the best country on the planet. I'm absolutely emancipated. I'm catered for in every which way. And my therapy, 20 hours of therapy completely free, and I'll probably go for more if I insist that I've still got some stuff to work on. And so all these people, like I say to you in other videos, they're all catering for me. The whole country, at least, is catering for me. Well, isn't that genius? In one level, that's genius, isn't it? Because what I've done is I've put myself in a position because I've adopted a perspective, and I've said to myself, well, in my younger days, I used to own businesses. And when I owned businesses, I was always a target of the government, because the government were always sending agents to me to check my books and to check on the health and safety and to check that I've got my pay-as-you-earn contributions and natural contributions for my staff, and to ensure that I'm offering all my staff pensions and I'm providing them healthy working conditions, and all of my vehicles had to be checked super duper. Everything had to be checked, and I was pay with all these agent Smiths which the government would always send. And so I thought to myself, okay, look, this is one way. And I was a real hard worker, and I was innovative in my mind, and so I took quite a large portion of the industry which I was in from other businesses, and I was doing very well, and I had, beautiful, nice big Jaguar, lots of properties in different countries, and everything was going well for me, and I could buy absolutely everything and anything I wanted to. And on the spur of the moment, I just go out and buy my wife a new car, a sports car, Mazda X convertible, and just because I could. And I was always buying my daughter cars and giving people a few grand here and there. And so I lived that life, but it was very stifling from the perspective of the government. And so what I did then, I took a leaf out my old man's book, and I said, okay, let's turn this card over now and see what's on the other side. And what is on the other side, people, is my complete and utter emancipation. I am like a bug in a rug. I'm like a fleece in the beast's fleece. No, a flea in the fleece of the beast. And nobody ever bothers me. Nobody's threatening me. Nobody's sending me all these bills that I should be paying and rules and regulations that I should be complying with. I don't give a toss what Starmer's doing. I don't give a toss how many people are coming over on the boat and this, that and the other. I mean, I just think if we want that to be our reality, then it will be. And if you live in these impoverished places in the heart of cities where these people are all coming in, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Don't live there then. Move. You've got choices. Move out into the village where you've never seen any of that shit. Move country, like I've done all my life. I've just thought, I'm going to go live here, I'm going to go and live there, I'm going to live somewhere else. I've been to 45 countries around the world, and I've lived in many of them, and run businesses in many of them, and I've wore different hats, and I've had different experiences. And so Well, I'm like, well, the world's been there for me. Why isn't the world there for you? What is it about some of us that the world is there for some of us and the world isn't there for others? What is that? Or is that just your mind which tells you that? I think there's a lot to be said for that, people. It's perspective. It's your perspective. And if you tell yourself you're small, if you tell yourself you can't, if you tell yourself you are inadequate, or you're not worthy, or you can never do that, and then you won't. I never told myself that I couldn't do anything. I just always knew that I could. It was just that innate thing that whatever I wanted to do, I was going to do. And just for instance, just a very, very brief thing in my life, I decided one day that I'm going to go to Australia. Me and the mother of my daughter, before my daughter was born, my daughter was conceived in Australia. And so I thought, well, it'd be cool to work in the gold mines. It would be cool to work on one of these Aboriginal stations way out in the desert. It'd be really cool to surf on Bondi Beach, the most famous surfing beach in Australia, and just travel around and just have the crack. Well, I did everything. And I worked in several of the gold mines, and I held 5 gold bullion. Who's ever done that? Who on the world has done that? Except people that maybe work in Fort Knox. Who has actually held gold bullion? I have. Why? Because I wanted to. Because I set my mind to do it. And so, as far as I'm concerned, whenever I want something, or a little bit of speech therapy, yes, I think I'll go and have speech therapy, just to see if there's something, I don't know about my voice, which I could learn, which could enable me to sing better. What about my body? Is there anything that's, potentially going wrong in there? Oh, let's go to the doctors and just have a checkup and all that. It's free. Just all you got to do is go to the doctors. The doctors is 30 seconds away from my house, so I go to the doctors and I do that. And then when I want anything else, I'm like, well, what else can I have? And when I want goods, I go, Amazon or eBay. And then lo and behold, they're delivered to my door. And so I'm a king bee. I'm a queen bee. I'm a queen ant. Why am I that? Because I wanted to be. Because I considered that I can. And whether I consider that I deserve it or not. What do you deserve? Who chooses whether anybody deserves anything? It's just that I want to be that, and I am. And whenever I wanted to be anything else, I was. And so I don't know what to say to people who have low energy, who have demons and negative attachments and lethargy and weakness and no drive and no testosterone. I don't know, maybe get your testosterone checked for a start. But yeah, the world seems to be producing more and more of these people. And you could say, well, it's in the water and it's in the food and it's this, that and the other. Well, why hasn't it affected me then? Why hasn't it affected lots of us who are not subject to it? So I'm not buying any of that. What I'm buying into is if you are susceptible to the propaganda, if you are susceptible to that you're weak and you're nobody and God is up in the sky somewhere looking down at you, thinks you're a cunt, and one day he's gonna fucking burn you forever and ever and ever unless you lick his arse and suck his cock and tickle his balls, well, I turn it around. My perspective isn't looking up at God. I'm feeling my godliness within me, and I'm introspecting, and I can see God and I can feel God. And so you may think I'm delusional. You may think, God's up in the sky. Jesus is our saviour. Jesus sucks my cock. Yahweh sucks my cock. All of them suck my cock. Why? Because I want them to. Because I'm the real God. And the fact of it is, people, consciousness is God. We're conscious, so therefore we have to be God. It's a no-brainer. All we gotta do is just look at the fucking Occam's razor, most simplest fucking answer to it all. We're the ones that create all these gods around the world, so we're the ones that fantasize about these things. All you gotta do is you gotta go, well, how many religions are there on the planet? Over 4,000. Well, doesn't it stand to reason that all these people, they're just conjuring up or under the influence of people who once decided that they're going to create a religion, like was it Joseph Smith? The Mormon dude, some dude pretended to find some gold tablets, like Moses had tablets. Oh goodness me! And anybody that believes this shit, well, they deserve everything they get. They deserve to be enslaved, put under the fucking yoke, and be given hard labour for the rest of their fucking lives. They don't deserve anything else. And the fact of it is, people, we can't all be enlightened beings. We can't all be emancipated, because somebody has got to do the donkey work. Right?